Thanks, Colin. Did your Eagles win? They did. They did, didn't they? Your quarterback got hurt, I saw. Do they know what happened?
We will rally around Nick Foles, and we will play good football.
I should have introduced him.
That's all we got out of you, too.
Yeah. Finals this week. I talked about it after the game yesterday. Guys are from the time the game ended yesterday until Wednesday at 3 o'clock. They've got their finals to take care of, so time to study and do the things they need to do to get prepared for those tests and take those tests. And they'll do a little bit in between on Tuesday and Wednesday with our coaches, but not much. We won't have anything as a group, though, until Wednesday at 3, which will give us Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to have 3 team workouts. We'll get a lift in. I have plenty of time to watch some film over those 3 days with the team. From a coaching standpoint, obviously, I jumped into it last night. Coach Crawford has got the scout, and he's got all their games watched. And so we'll be meeting about that this afternoon and tomorrow as we get ready for Wednesday's practice. With what I've seen so far, what I watched last night and this morning, really just impressed with their team. Those 3 guards they all handle the ball. They score the ball. Really moving the ball well. And then inside, those guys are tough and physical and can make plays. And some guys off that bench that are making plays for them. So I really impressed with what Iowa State has done here over the past couple of weeks since they've made the change position-wise in the backcourt and gotten some guys healthy after those first 2 basketball games. They've played terrific. So we got a lot of work to do on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But most importantly, over the next couple of days will be those finals for our guys. With that, I would take your questions.
What do you think is, and you hit on the backcourt, I know they're some pretty good backcourt group, but what do you think is the biggest reason why they've seen more success in the last 7 games?
Yeah, I think it's well. First, would be the 2 things that getting the couple guys healthy that didn't play in their first 2 games. So getting some guys back onto the court, I think, has made a big difference for them. And then making the change with in their backcourt with Babb and with Wigginton and or Jackson. Just making that switch and moving those guys around and getting those guys in spots, in particular with that point guard position. The way that they approached things to start the year and played the first 2 games, making that move, after those first 2 basketball games was a great adjustment by Steve. And it's obviously had a big impact on their team, and he's got those guys now in positions where they are most comfortable, most confident, and best able to make the game a little easier for their teammates, in the best position to whether it be scored or pass it, depending on who you're talking about. He's got those guys in the right spots now, and that's made a big difference for their team. So, like I said, just a great move by Steve and his staff, and because those guys seem very confident right now, and just making the game much easier in their last, if it's 6 or 7, after those first 2. So, and then like we've talked about with the other teams that we've played, they've got some, and sometimes it's a little change that makes all the difference. But they've got some really good players, and as Steve has shown, he's done a terrific job in the short time that he's been at Iowa State. So, things that we saw 2 years ago when we played them, good players and very well coached. But I think people after the first 2 games, because of the world we live in right now, whether it's 1 game or 2 games, everyone thinks your season is over. That's never the case. It's never been the case, and it never will be the case, no matter what social media does to us. It's just not the case. And they made some great adjustments, but they've got really good players, and they've got a really good coach. And for 6 or 7 games, they've been in the right spots, and they look really good on film. Anybody else? Short one today, Ryan?
You're now receiving votes in the top 25. I know that's more for us social media people to talk about.
Man, I think that's great. Did you just call yourself a social media person? I think it's great. I hadn't seen that yet, but I think it's great. I talked to our guys, maybe a week or 10 days ago about a couple of different things, and that being one of them. And if if you want to be ranked, you have to play good. And we've got Crawford, and we've got Jake Cook, and we've got John Little. We've got those guys in the locker room that have been on teams that have been ranked. And I asked those guys, did it help you win any games? And they said, no, it doesn't help you win any games. I said, but how did it make you feel? And that's being ranked is a big deal. So I'm happy to hear that, and I'm happy for our guys. Man, our guys have played hard, and they've the things we asked, defend and rebound. We got work to do still, but they're doing those two things, and they have played hard and they've paid attention, and so I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad we're getting votes.
Yesterday's game was an opportunity to get Wyatt and Austin kind of an extended burn out there.
Yep.
What have you seen out of those guys over the past couple games? How do you feel about them going forward?
Yeah, Wyatt. I thought Wyatt was more comfortable yesterday than he was in the first one, which would be is to be expected. He has worked so hard on his conditioning. He's worked so hard on that jump shot. He's got a lot of confidence in his ability to score the basketball. That pull-up game has always been something he's been good at. But he's worked. He's put in a ton of time on that three-point shot, and so he's got a lot of confidence in it, which he should. And the more that we're able to get him into the practices with that top group, and the more times he plays, I don't think it's going to take very long. But each time he's out there, he's going to look more and more comfortable. But I thought yesterday he looked good. Austin was. It's just he hasn't had many game minutes, and those are the minutes that that make all the difference. Practice is great. And he has an opportunity at practice to play against Bennett and play against Ted and play against Clint, Luke, JD, all guys that have been in the program for anywhere from maybe 2 to 5 years. So he's got a great opportunity at practice to learn and get better and play against experienced players and good players. It's still not like being on a game floor. And so for him to get some extended minutes yesterday, I think was real positive for him.
Just a little bit, I know with everything that happened in the offseason with